All right, moving along. Item number E, that's all by itself. To approve or determine spring coaches' pay. So there's not really a specific recommendation listed here on our board meeting, but Jeff Baran did give a recommendation. Joel, do you have anything else to add before somebody makes a motion?
I do not. It looks like when I'm looking through the proposal, Jeff has put a significant amount of time researching it. You know, I made mention at the study session, I think they should be paid if they're willing to put the work in. We do lose a little revenue in the fact that we don't have the fees, but the flip side of that is we don't have all the expenses either. So we're not taking buses everywhere too. So coaching is a difficult position. We don't always have the most people wanting to do it. I think Mr. Grant points out in there that, you know, if we're not willing to let them work to earn these dollars if they so choose and something that he approves, you know, we may lose some.
Last meeting, we referred this to the attorney, and I think the attorney summarized some options.
That was correct. Let me find that.
Mr. Baran, can you enlighten what you recommend again?
Sure. Again, I had sent an email. I resent the note that we talked about before. I guess what I would do is I am recommending that we pay the coaches in full, based on there was a couple of revisions. I had sent a proposal back on April 3rd to Mr. Whitehurst, which included 3 different, I guess, pay periods at this point in time. We're pretty much beyond that. In the information that I sent you, it kind of compares maybe a guesstimate as to hours during a season that a coach perhaps would work. Again, that is just a guess, so to speak. I compared those as far as the percentage of pay from a head coach to first assistant and so on. Looking at maybe the number of hours that a coach worked, just reminding you that the seasons had started for high school sports. All 3, baseball, track, and softball, had begun. And so I feel that because the season had begun and in light of what a lot of other districts are doing, each of the coaches should be paid at least 50%. And then looking at the number of hours, perhaps if they, if you would like them to work, again, a lot of it has to do with, you know, I guess looking for some guidance as to what would be expected based upon and maybe in comparison to what we ask the clerical workers to do, what we ask the bus drivers to do, what we ask the paraprofessionals to do during the shutdown period of time, and making perhaps some comparisons in what was asked of these people that were paid. Coaches could certainly sign an agreement if they did not want to put in other time that they could sign off and not be paid. Is always one of the opportunities, but many of the teachers have already been checking with student athletes outside of their normal school time, seeing how they're doing, keeping up with social emotional learning, and just checking in. Some have done some virtual homework help. We have opportunities for summer supervision, let's say of the weight room or other types of things that they could do. Coordination of activities for students throughout the summer, as there will be some opportunity at least to work in small groups and things like that. And once June 1st comes around, the Minnesota State High School has what is called a summer waiver period of time that coaches can actually work directly with students. The Minnesota State High School had actually closed the seasons back in April, and then allowed coaches the opportunity to work via Zoom virtually. Basically, they weren't, coaches actually were instructed not to work with students, but could, give them maybe workouts or some types of drills and things like that might be sport specific. And then if they've either done or have other ideas that maybe they have of to be approved by me as far as time is concerned. In the proposal that I just sent you now is, I guess, if you equate the amount of time, so if you're looking for hours, again, I'm kind of grabbing at maybe just some comparisons of 60% of maybe those hours during the year. Maybe if head coaches were to have logged or put in 50 hours, first assistants 35 hours, second assistants 29 hours, and junior coaches 21 hours. Again, the information is on the thing that I emailed you. I guess it was earlier today, and I do apologize for that being late. Again, I guess I've searched over the last month and a half now for some direction, and I guess the direction you're looking for is coming from me. So I really truly feel that the coaches do have an awesome job, meaning a large job, and all of these activities are co-curricular, and I don't want to go off and say that I don't know that we would lose coaches. I'm not sure about that, but I really believe as a district, we need to show coaches that we value them, we value their job, and I think this goes a long way to doing that.
Joe, can I ask you a couple of questions? Have we already paid out those contracts? Have they already received that money?
I don't, there might have been one, I think that was inadvertently on a payroll, but otherwise, no, to my knowledge, they have not been paid.
And
Correct. Two of the head coaches from last year were already on, so they were processed, but the rest have not. And just the first payment.
yeah, okay. And then like with bus drivers, are they getting paid for taking people to not football games, baseball games and track events that didn't happen?
Not the extracurriculars, it'd be the routes themselves.
Okay. And are the janitors getting paid for cleanup after anything that?
Yes, they are. They're
Just as
working.
if it had happened. Okay. Just wondering.
So 2 have been paid the first payment, we're saying right now?
That's correct. When the way Deb had described the payroll to the new person didn't think that they were already set up, but those 2 were carryovers from last season. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think last meeting we talked about getting some specific hours that the coaches have already put in. I know the spring sports season started March 9th, and then on the 13th it was closed down. I wouldn't be opposed to paying the coaches the first payment, the 1/3, and I wouldn't shy away from making a motion for that. But from what I've heard from the community, I mean, I do value the coaches, we all do, but it's hard to justify paying for something that we're not getting, or it's not happening.
So are you making an official motion, Travis? I'm just clarifying that, or are we going to allow Joel to talk about what Mr. Rupp had to say?
Yeah, I think we should talk about it first, for sure.
Okay.
Here's what Mr. Rupp said regarding assistant coaches, and they've already been board approved. We think the district can terminate those contracts by simply having the board take action to do so. Alternatively, the district can agree to pay assistant coach a prorated amount of their contract, and then it goes on to head coaches, which is separate. And for head coaches who've had their contracts approved by the board, the district would have to follow the statutory process for terminating that assignment unless the coach resigns, or the district can reach an agreement with the coach to end his or her coaching duties.
I guess I would like to say that I would go for paying a prorated rate at 50%. Then they would not be required to come in and do any extra, work or anything like that to fulfill their hours.
I agree with Jeff. That would be that sounds like a good proposal to throw out there.
This is kind of happening a little bit backwards. But it could get messy with rescinding of any motions and so forth, because I would be making, so I'm not exactly sure, because I'm on this, I feel they should be allowed to earn their salary. They should be given the opportunity to opt out if they feel that they haven't earned the pay or do not want to do additional work to earn the pay, because it sounded like Mr. Baran had opportunities for them that they could earn the additional coach's pay. And I feel like I support this in regards to the fact that the other school districts in our area are paying their coaches. I don't know why we want to take the cheap route. I appreciate the thought and insight that everybody has shared tonight, but we're talking about less than 0.5% of our total district budget. And I'm going to open the floor now for a motion, and then we will have opportunity for further discussion.
I got a comment and question first, if you don't mind, Pam. Do we get paid if we don't show up to the school board meeting? Joel?
Yes, you do. For those, yeah, that's part. The special meetings are additional, but for the board meetings, it's automatic payroll.
Right, so the expectation is that we're gonna get paid for them. We all try to go to them. In this case, that's not that they didn't show up. So they couldn't show up. And they would have showed up if they could. And they probably spent quite a few hours, I don't know how much before the season, getting ready for the season. If any of you have been a coach before, you understand it's a year-round responsibility. It's not just the season. I support paying them in full. I want them to come back next year, and I don't want the schools and districts around us to look at us as someone doesn't support our coaches. So I'm not saying that you don't necessarily support them, but I think Jeff's got a good plan to get them to work this summer in the weight room and other things. I think we should allow that to go through, and I'm going to support our AD on that. I make a motion to approve full payment.
I'll second. So Gary Michael made the motion to pay the spring coaches, and Pam Baker seconded it. Is there any other additional discussion?
Is a motion to pay in full?
The motion is to pay in full, correct, Gary?
Yes.
And I will second again. So is there any discussion about the motion presented to pay the coaches in full for spring coaching positions? Any further discussion? I know this is a lot of, it weighs heavy on a lot of people's minds, so I just want to make sure you've had your opportunity, and then we'll go through a roll call vote. Travis?
Yeah, we're also the bus drivers. I mean, where do we draw the line? The bus drivers aren't getting their pay for extracurricular activities. I think there's a line there that we have to draw, that there should be a compromise. I mean, we're looking at a shortfall coming to our school, and we need to save our money. And I'm not demeaning our coaches. I love our coaches. We have excellent coaches, but we got to put the time in. I mean, they put time in, they should get paid for that. I think Jeff's proposal is probably a little better at half, but it's just my thoughts. And
Is
I guess
this,
we can just
is this
go
discussion?
ahead with the vote and see what happens.
Yes,
So that's still discussion. Okay.
yeah, Gary Michael had made the motion to pay the spring coaches in full, and I had seconded that motion.
Hey, Joel, on the bus driver thing, are they under contract for that?
No, they volunteer and sign up for those.
I think that's the difference.
So what about just a question now, so what about the custodial staff that never came to work because of the virus and stuff? Do they still got paid? Was that all through the state of Minnesota and everything?
Margaret, you want that one? There was a special provision if they had underlying conditions, they weren't to return or show up to work, and that was regardless of the category of employees hourly. There was some money set aside, I believe, at the federal government for paying a certain number of sick leave hours for them. And then I believe after that, it went to like a long-term disability, and that was all driven at the federal level.
That's correct. That was the Families First Coronavirus Act. And so employees, whether they tested positive, had a family member who tested positive, so were requested or suggested to be on quarantine, or if they had underlying health issues, so had a medical note. So there was an additional 80 hours added for paid time off, essentially sick leave, that they could use on top of their bank. And then there's a 10-week long-term disability. So we have to follow that federal act in regards to them. And then, staff can continue to stay at home using sick leave if they feel the need to after that. So those are, we're required to follow the federal guidelines on those things.
They did implement a little hazard pay. I think it was extra, a couple bucks an hour. But so I was just kind of curious if that happened with any of our staff or anything else, some got to get the underlying health conditions, et cetera, concerns. So.
Yeah, I think that would fall into a different category and not part of this discussion as far as distance learning and hazard pay. If I understood you correct, John, because part of you was breaking up, but.
Yeah, it just kind of rolled into it based off of some of the initial discussion. So I just wanted to ask the question. It may be something or next time we need to discuss, but most companies in the area, whatever, work environments did do a little hazard pay for their employees, but I'll refer at this point.
Is there any other discussion about spring coaches? Otherwise, I'll do a roll call vote. Okay, Jeff?
Sorry, but no.
John?
No.
Travis?
No.
Jay?
Yes.
Dan?
No.
Gary?
Yes.
Pam, yes. Motion fails 4-3.
Pam, can we make another motion?
Okay,
Can we make a
Well,
motion to pay
I
half?
don't know. Oh,
I'm just asking, I don't know.
You can make a motion, Travis, yes.
I move that we pay the coaches half.
Second,
Okay, Travis Bowman has made the motion to pay the coaches 50%, and Jeff Stangler has seconded it. Is there any discussion? I guess all I would say is I don't think you're really taking into consideration everything that all those spring coaches have done. There's preparation into the season that they have done for the totality of their full season.
Well, there's some truth to that because I don't think any of us really have a lot of sight into what's been done or what hasn't been done. But the timing of this is unfortunate, just like even the teacher's contract that we just passed. It's unfortunate because people are taking hits right and left all over the place. And contracts are being voided, disregarded, all kinds of stuff. And the timing of it is just bad. A lot of those districts that probably paid in full probably made that decision a lot earlier than now. I don't know. It's hard to say.
Any other discussion?
So Dan, what you're saying is, and what Travis has said is, public perception would be negative on this. I haven't heard any comments on that, but I don't get a lot of comments. People don't know me or something. I don't know. But
Well, I've heard some, but I mean, people in the medical community have taken hits, 20% to 40% pay decreases, discontinuation of retirement accounts, all that kind of stuff. And they're on the front line every day. And it's pretty easy to document what they're doing. Just, I think today, state employees got pushed back to 2017 in their contracts. I mean, people are taking hits right and left all over the place. And 50% for something that didn't happen is not all that terrible, you know, and yet it conveys a message that we're trying to be fiscally responsible. Keep in mind, every other meeting we're talking about how much trouble we're going to be in financially here pretty soon. And then we turn around and we're less concerned depending upon what the item is that's being discussed. I just worry just a bit about that in the community because people are watching this to some degree.
Okay, any other
yeah,
discussion?
I know what you're saying, Dan and Travis. I think we're talking about $36,000, and that's not chump change. That's worth it to me to keep some of these coaches coming back. And maybe it won't matter.
Yeah, it's 0.5% of our total budget. Less than. But anyway, is there any other discussion?
Well, you just spent 2 years negotiating a teacher's contract. I mean, granted, that was more money involved, but you know, those things aren't taken that lightly in those situations either. Like I said just previously, we diminish our concern financially sometimes, and other times we amp it up. It seems to depend on the situation.
Yeah, but I'm not diminishing it financially. I'm talking about maintaining coaches, and it's 36,000. So I don't see the point there.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, so
yeah, well, Gary, this is to answer to Gary that it doesn't seem like that much. 0.5% or 1% here and there keeps adding up. And we're not in a good financial position going forward. we need to start watching and taking different avenues on certain things to try to hold our costs back, and so we don't have to go back out to the public and ask for a huge amount next time.
I agree. What's our budget, Margaret? Is Margaret still out there? On an annual basis.
I am. Let's see. You just want to know bottom line on Fund 1?
Yeah, what's our annual budget?
And I should point out, when I said 0.5%, that was based on just the salaries and wages. It's less.
I think our annual budget's over 10 million. 36,000 is a third of a percent. And we're saving money on busing. So it's, I don't know, half of that.
Yeah, we're budgeted for $10,050,000 in the current year.
Yeah. Now you're talking about 0.015%. I have my math right. And I agree. We need to watch our budget. I know your point, Jeff and Dan, but and then really you're talking about 50% of that. So now we're talking about $7,500. Okay. Does that make sense?
I guess I come from the place where every penny counts. I do. It's 7,000 times 10, 70,000. I mean, it all adds up, every penny. And I'm not trying to be a penny pincher or belittle our coaches, but like Dan said, sometimes it depends what the situation is, depending where we want to spend our money. And I guess it's a touchy situation because we have kids that are in sports. We love going to sporting events. We have excellent coaches. And that's why when Jeff mentioned the 50%, I thought that's a good thing. You know, giving them 50% for not having any events or going anywhere, I think we're being generous. I do. And maybe that's just me.
I just want to make it clear what we're talking about, which is 50% is $18,000. So you're saving $18,000. We're probably saving about half of that in busing for the year. And the potential is you're going to tick off some coaches that don't come back next year. That's the potential. I'm fine with, we can vote on it and see what you think.
I think the coaches that we have are pretty passionate about coaching.
Yeah, I do too. And I think some of them do it because there's a financial advantage to it too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I agree that I think we should be paying them in full, but it's time for a vote. This is, yeah. Okay, so Travis Bowman made the motion and Jeff Stangler seconded to pay the coaches 50% of their spring coaching wage. By roll call vote, Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Jay?
No.
Dan?
Yes.
Gary?
Oh,
Pam? No. 4 yes, 3 no. By roll call vote, that motion has passed to pay the coaches 50%. Okay. Yes, we'll move along. Thanks. Before we move along, I do want to thank Jeff Baran and Mr. Whitehurst for putting the time and effort into presenting a plan and sharing your background and knowledge and expertise in your career as an athletic director. So thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. Moving along then to approve summer school age care workers. Adult supervisors at $10 per hour, Blake Stees, Susan Bliss, Vicki Greger, Caitlin Hafmeyer, Akaylee Molitor, and high school student workers at $8 per hour, Tori Van Ryn and Isabel Weller. Is
So
there any-
moved.
Second.
Gary Michael made the motion and Jeff Stangler seconded to approve the summer school age care workers. Any discussion?
Are we at a point where we know this stuff's gonna happen?
Yes, the latest guidance we just received, I think Thursday afternoon I received, said we can open up our school age care programs and charge a fee.
And they begin tomorrow.
And that is also, are those full-time positions filled, or is it a part-time basis or a combination of all as far as enrollments go?
They're seasonal employees, obviously, because it's summertime, but
Oh, no, I'm talking, not talking about the employees. I'm talking about actually the filling of the, we're confident that these positions are needed in terms of the enrollment amounts we have.
yeah.
Any other discussion? Okay, by roll call vote. Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Pam, yes. By roll call vote, those positions for school, summer school age care workers have been approved. Okay, it looks like we have a approval letter of retirement from Barb Motter. That's basically contingent upon the contract being approved, which it was earlier.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Gary Michael made the motion, and did Gary make the motion?
Went Jay and
Sorry,
then Gary.
Oh, sorry. Jay Schneider made the motion and Gary Michael seconded it. My screen just went empty with all of you guys, so.
Consider yourself lucky.
Okay, you're back. You're all back. Okay, so Jay Schneider made the motion, Gary Michael seconded to approve Barb Motter's letter of retirement. Is there any discussion?
Thank you, Barb.
Yeah, I didn't look up and because I didn't notice this on the agenda. I didn't catch that, but I would have looked up the years of service. I know Barb's been in the district for a long time and made lots of meals and probably put out lots of fires up in the fax room with lots of students. So we appreciate her service to the district. Is there any other discussion? Okay, by roll call vote, Jeff?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Travis?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Pam, yes. By roll call vote, 7 yes. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mrs. Motter. And then we have a resignation from Mr. Schmidt, David Schmidt, our elementary music teacher, effective at the end of this school year. I'll make
So
the
moved.
motion. Is there a
Second.
second? Okay, Pam Baker made the motion and Travis Bowman seconded to approve the letter of resignation from David Schmidt, elementary music teacher. Is there any discussion?
Do we know why he resigned?
Bobby, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Oh, sorry. He had an opportunity for professional growth in another district.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, by roll call vote, or did we ever, yeah, do we have a motion? I'm sorry, this is all blurring together. Did I make the motion and Travis seconded it? I'm sorry. To accept the resignation from David Schmidt. Jeff,
Yes.
John,
Yes, unfortunately.
Travis,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Pam, yes. By roll call vote, 7 yes, motion carries. Okay, we have our upcoming meeting, our study session will be the second Thursday of June. That's not listed on our agenda tonight, but that is the second Thursday of June. And then we have our regular meeting on June 22nd at 6 o'clock.
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, I'll second that motion.
Okay. So Jay Schneider's made a motion and Dan Houlihan is seconded to adjourn the meeting. I roll call vote. Jeff,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Travis,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Pam, yes. By roll call vote, 7 yes. Meeting adjourned. It is 8 o'clock on the dot. All right. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.